which is the stunning and perplexing politics of immigration. You see, for almost all of my political career, and for as long as I have memory, Democrats have had an advantage on immigration. There's issues that they've always had advantages with us over: climate, education, and immigration. They almost always have some form of advantage. Interestingly enough, education, less and less so. Remember that election where Governor Youngkin won in the great state of Virginia? He became the governor of Virginia with actual favorability advantage on the issue of education. But on immigration, Democrats have always had us over a barrel by 20 points or 30 points, because what did Republicans stand for when it came to immigration? And this is the kicker. Everybody, if there's just one thing that you remember that I tell you, it is how wrong, how fraudulent, how deceitful the Jeb Bush, Karl Rove perspective on immigration was. Can you guys get some of that tape here, Blake or Ryan, now that I'm thinking of it? Back in 2014, 2015, we had the Gang of Eight. And yes, Marco Rubio was part of it, and he has come a long way, and I'm Marco Rubio's biggest fan and supporter. But yes, we had the Gang of Eight, and I remember it. This was the first couple of years I was involved in politics. And it was unchallengeable dogma in the Republican Party that we are going to lose Hispanics forever if we do not pass mass amnesty. Now, see, this was largely passed and was pushed, I should say, by the Koch brothers, by corporate interests, by the Chamber of Commerce. This was largely being advanced by sinister multinational corporations that didn't actually care about the politics. They wanted cheap labor. And the Democrats were like, sure, you want cheap labor? We want cheap votes. Marriage made in heaven. And instead, what was created is a weapon of mass migration. Not a weapon of mass destruction, a weapon of mass migration. And Jeb Bush and all of the Republican orthodoxy was, and every single donor believed this, we need to win back Hispanics, and by doing so, we have to calm down our rhetoric on immigration. This is without a doubt one of the greatest missteps, one of the greatest errors in modern, if not all of the conservative movement. Almost everybody fell for this. And honestly, I was 20 years old at the time. I was 21 years old at the time. I kind of fell for it too. I was like, well, do we need to water down our language? And do we need to be more compassionate? Because a lot of Latinos and Hispanics, they seem to be for open borders, and they have friends that have come here illegally. And it was a ruse, everybody. It was a major scam. Paul Ryan and John McCain, all of the moderate apparatchiks were together saying, we must do this or else we're going to lose Hispanics 90-10. It'll be like Black America. And they were fear-mongering, and they were blackmailing us, saying, you must do mass amnesty right now or else you will be a minority party forever and you'll never win back Hispanics. And 10 years ago to this month, the most consistent political candidate that we've ever seen, Donald Trump, changed everything. He said, nope, they're illegals. Many of them are rapists. They're thugs. They're terrible. We're going to build a wall. Mexico will pay for it. We're going to do mass deportations. And he has unwavered in that commitment. And then we were told by the moderates in the Republican Party, oh, you guys are going to lose us. Majorities, you're going to lose elections if you talk like this, and Hispanics will turn against you. Turns out the exact opposite was actually the case. It turns out that the more aggressive and hawkish that we got on immigration, the more Hispanics were coming our way. The more aggressive and hawkish that we got on immigration, we finally, for the first time ever, are beating Democrats on the issue of immigration. It turns out at the core, Americans are actually very, very supportive of mass deportations. And what I love is that the Democrats, they're continually polling this. Or there's no way America, nope, that's true. America actually wants door by door, block by block, mass deportations. And the Democrats, they don't quite understand this. Here is Amy Walter from the Cook Political Report, who accurately says this is the first time ever we've seen this. Democrats used to have an advantage over Trump on immigration. They have a disadvantage now. Play cut 422.
Forward, I think, is how Democrats do talk about these issues. It's going to be really important for not just what's happening today in Los Angeles, but just writ large. I think there has been a lot of pullback and a lot of hand-wringing from Democrats about an issue which they used to have an advantage on during Trump's first term. They have a disadvantage on now. This issue isn't going away. And how Democrats respond to whether this is going to happen in other states, how they address concerns about safety and security, that is going to be critical just for the next, forever long.
It's been flipped. Remember the RNC autopsy report of 2013? It's funny. I actually went to one of those meetings. I was brought to one of those RNC donor meetings by Mike Miller, one of my dear friends, runs MJ Miller Jewelers in the suburbs of Chicago in Barrington, Illinois, which I encourage you guys to go to if you have any jewelry needs. He actually did our wedding ring and many other things. But he brought me to the RNC autopsy report in Chicago because Reince Priebus, who I really like, he was doing a road show. Just here's the report, here's the data. And he was going to meet with donors because people were very, very upset with what happened in 2012. And this is what was in the official RNC autopsy report in 2013. Quote, among the steps Republicans must take in the Hispanic community and beyond, we must embrace and champion comprehensive immigration reform. If we do not, our party's appeal will continue to shrink to its core constituencies only. Blake, can we tweet this out? This is so important. Let me say this again. Quote, among the steps Republicans must take in the Hispanic community. This was the official RNC autopsy report in 2013. We must embrace and champion comprehensive immigration reform. If we do not, our party's appeal will continue to shrink to its core constituencies only. This was all before Donald Trump. Here is Jeb Bush at CPAC back in 2015, 2016, probably 2015. Play cut 448.
What we need, which are economic-driven immigrants, those that want to come here to work, to invest in their dreams in this country, to create opportunities for all of us. And that's what we need to get to.
Chamber of Commerce balderdash. Jeb Bush being applauded by the 19 different K Street lobbyists that he bussed on over to the Gaylord Hotel. And you have the Jeb Bush, you have the RNC autopsy report, and Donald Trump changed it all. And now we have an advantage on the immigration issue. America supports it. 51% of people want mass deportations. 54% people want raids on violent criminals. A 20-point lead on the mobilization of the National Guard. And Donald Trump changed it all. Donald Trump knew it. He intuited it. Knowing at its core that there was going to be a huge political realignment in a way where the Democrats still are reacting. And you know who supports it the most? Immigrants. That's right. Do you know that legal first-generation immigrants, foreign-born immigrants, are actually more hawkish on immigration than Americans? The Democrats, they're making a major strategic error, but they're not going to, regardless of what I say on the show, they're not going to stop because they are enthused with pathological energy when it comes to open borders. Open borders is the life force of the globalist elite. It is a baseline, fundamental belief of the Democrat Party. Thou shalt have open borders. Period. End of story. We are the only political movement to say no mas, no more, hasta la vista, adios. The Democrat Party built their entire coalition on the Great Replacement reality. We are going to have millions of people come into the country and try to replace the native-born population to change the politic. If you can't win elections because the people don't support you, well, then change the people. Replace them. And so just flood it with 10, 15, 20, 30 million. Do you know we actually don't know how many illegals are in this country? Do you know it's kind of a guesstimate? It could be 20 million, it could be 30 million, it could be 40 million. We have no idea. And by the way, we have this new shirt. This is what we voted for at charliekirkstore.com if you want to check it out. That's why I'm wearing it today, because it's kind of the theme of the program. And also on Bitcoin.com, buy, sell, trade Bitcoin. All Bitcoin type decisions should be made at Bitcoin.com. That is Bitcoin.com. One of my favorite guests is here. He's such a smart thinker and a great analytical mind. Alex Marlow. I saw one of his tweets the other day, and I said, Andrew, get him on the show immediately. And I just loved it. Let me read it to you. It's Alex Marlow, Breitbart.com, phenomenal Alex Marlow show. Alex, great to see you. Let me read your tweet, Alex, and I'll let you riff on it. Quote, the invasion of Los Angeles happened decades ago. I know. I've lived here most of my life. The Democrats who run this place and the establishment media put illegal alien criminals over law-abiding citizens every single time. It destroyed our schools, overwhelmed our healthcare system, and balkanized us to the point where we have no real culture. We should have stopped it a long time ago. Donald Trump is stopping it now. Get out of his way. Free LA from this madness. Alex, I love it. As an Angelino yourself, please speak about this.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. This is one of these things where I'm watching all these libs on social media yell at us and these celebrities yell at us like we're monsters if we're intolerant of Trump enforcing the law. This city was ruined decades ago. It was my really education in politics was understanding that my city was getting overrun and it was causing a lot of downstream effects. It wasn't just that people are unpleasant or they're all bad people. No, it's not about that. It's the effects of illegal immigration. And what dawned on me is when I was an intern for Larry Elder about 20 years ago, and he was going through how expensive it costs to educate people and how actually public schools in LA are more expensive than private schools per pupil. It's just the cost is deferred to taxpayers. Why is that? Because there's so much administration that's necessary. There's so many people who don't speak the language. There's so many things that need to be put into place, not just the bureaucracies and the unions and all that stuff, but to educate people where English is a second language and to put that entirely on the state. And they're coming from homes where the parents don't speak the language. And we don't just tolerate it, Charlie, we embrace it. We love it. That's just the school system. So that's why a public school student costs more than a typical Catholic school student in the LA area, and the schools are not usable. Our test scores keep going down. They're more dangerous places to be. They're completely unpleasant parts of life here. That's just one example. But healthcare is another massive one. My wife worked at a community hospital serving a largely Hispanic population, and they don't ask you for your papers when you go in to get a service. And if you need something like, let's say, a bone marrow transplant, it costs $700,000. And if you're an illegal alien and you showed up at her county hospital in LA that she worked at, they don't turn you away. Who is paying for that, Charlie? I'm paying for it. The taxpayers are paying for it. And so how could you run a city like this? You could never do it. And yet we just accepted it, that this is what we're going to have in this city. Illegal aliens are going to make everything expensive. There's going to be more crime. And my point about the culture is very big. LA used to be the cultural hub of the world. We're totally balkanized now. There's areas where certain groups of people go and areas where other groups of people go, and they don't always cross over. That is bizarre. That's not America. That's not a melting pot. That's like the prison tray where you get you get your meals on, where everything's sectioned off. You don't run a city that way. And that's been our life here for decades. And Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and Tom Homan, and Kristi Noem are saying, why? Why, Charlie? Why are we doing this? We're not doing it anymore.
Honestly, my whole life I've heard people complain about traffic on the 405. Mass deportations will help solve that. And I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, you can't bring in millions of people and act as if they have the public infrastructure for it. And look, as a nation, we have a big heart. I think that if someone's in this country and they need immediate health care, you save their life. But you cannot simultaneously have domestic generosity with unruly invasion. They are a contradiction. So then all of a sudden your generosity is taken advantage of, and we are naively then subsidizing our own demise. And this is a very, very important point, is that, okay, good intentions, everyone has good intentions. They mean nothing. They don't translate to good public policy. And in Los Angeles, it is a cluttered city. And again, the media is going to take this out of context. I don't care. It's a dirty city. I'm not saying it's all because of immigrants. It's just dirty. Graffiti is everywhere. There's trash on the streets. There's homeless everywhere. It's a filthy place. And it never used to be that way, right, Alex?
It doesn't need to be this way. You're exactly right. And it's become a filthy place. I've got a video at the top of my Instagram page where I go down into the La Brea Tar Pits, which is supposed to be a family place to go. There's a Natural History Museum. You learn about history. It's just covered. It's a homeless encampment now, basically. Like, well, why is that something we want? Why is that something that's a given, that's a guarantee? I was just noticing a mural of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, who died in that helicopter crash, defaced by these protesters, essentially protesting against ICE. Why is that helping your cause? The city's become a lawless place. And this is the fundamental thing, Charlie. Democrats do not view law and order as a value. They don't like it. They don't think that they want chaos. And so law and order is an antidote to chaos. So they don't like that. So they don't like the concept of we can set a law and we can enforce it. They would rather have things be enforceable based off of their will and their political impetus at the time. And so this has been toxic in this city. It is not working. And I'll tell you that my wife, for example, worked as a trainee, so not making a lot of money, treating illegal aliens, and she would do it with a smile on her face, give them the best care she possibly could. And why? Because to your point, we are humanitarian. I don't want illegal alien kids running around. They're probably better off in the schools. As expensive as it is, what are they supposed to do? Like run around the neighborhoods all day? That doesn't make any sense. We're going to be humanitarian if you're here. So why leave the border open and why not crack down on the people who we know are illegal and should leave?
You can have welfare and closed borders or open borders and no welfare. You cannot have both. Right. They cannot coexist. The entire system collapses. It falls apart. And just let's kind of go deeper into the whole California thing, which is, the image, can we just re-show the images, guys? We cannot show it enough. And a lot of normal, non-political people in my life are shocked and horrified by this, Alex. And it's not that we're horrified necessarily by the sight of a Mexican flag. My favorite taco place in downtown Phoenix, which is like, they're all Mexican flag. No. It's the symbol while you are doing destruction that is obviously a defiance that we have more loyalty to this nation than the one that we're currently domiciled in. Over the smoke and over the ashes. Alex, we have not seen this sort of, let's just say, stunning aesthetic as a gut punch to the Democrat Party since Floydapalooza. Am I right?
No, and it's amazing how quickly they went for it because they're trying to do this narrative, the gaslighting from Maxine Waters and some people in the media, that this is mostly peaceful. It wasn't peaceful for a second. They immediately said, where's the first electric car? Let's torch it. I mean, they didn't wait 5 minutes. And with the Mexican flags out there, I got to say, I listen to a lot of Spanish music, and I listen to, it's the Mexican food's my favorite type of food. If I'm ever relaxing, which is very rare, it's probably going to be a tequila or a mezcal that's in my glass. It's like, I'm fine with Mexican culture. That's not what this is. This isn't even Mexican culture. This is a invasion of our cities and are trying to torch things and destroy things. It's all the destructiveness of it all and the entitlement of it all, that you're allowed to be here even though you broke our rules. And that is something that is, national Democrats are looking in horror right now. This is what the sources are telling me right now, and I've spoken to a lot of them in the last couple of days. They're horrified about what's going on.
Yep, big
LA Democrats?
Big.
LA
You're
Democrats
exactly
like
right,
it,
Alex.
though, Charlie. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm telling you right now, the non-political, I was telling this to, look, I'm going to just say this. I've said it before.
Please.
Non-political person, just, muscular class. She helps us out, whatever, great person. Non-political, voted for Trump, but like out of nowhere, she's like, these riots, this is what Democrats do. She's like, I feel like every couple summers they try to burn down our cities. This is now becoming a meta narrative. It is being tattooed into the consciousness of the American people, which is that non-political people, because look, if it burns, it goes to the front lines and people look at it. And can we just show that one B-roll, guys, of the one after the other, the cars burning, just the in flames. And by the way, just so we're clear, if you're burning an electric car, do you understand the pollution that you are putting into that community? I mean, yes, burning a car is bad. The cobalt that just that alone is like really bad, okay? And these are the environmentalists, right? These are the green people that think the way that you effectuate change is the smell of cobalt in the morning. And so and by the way, the seats are like, the seats of these cars have really bad pollution. Anyway, that's a whole other separate, of course, they never cared about that.
American families should have their lives ruined by illegal alien crime. If that answer is above zero, you and I have nothing to talk about. That number is zero, Charlie.
And here's the thing. A lot of Hispanics that are going to get deported or their family will be deported, you know who they're going to blame? They're going to blame the rioters. because it now justifies an equal and opposite reaction. It justifies force. And so the people that then get deported, they'll be like, those stupid morons that started burning cars, you know, of course they're going to respond, and they being the U.S. government. And we will. Final thoughts, Alex.
Yeah, legal immigrants are moving to Trump faster than any other group. They hate this stuff. I will tell you, they despise it.
If you fail to assimilate to our culture, then you will no longer have a country. Multiculturalism has been a failure. Uniculturalism is actually what the founders wanted. E pluribus unum. As Andrew Breitbart would say all the time, he would say he educated America on e pluribus unum with Dennis Prager and Andrew Breitbart. E pluribus unum, out of many one. You could keep your traditions and you could keep your food, but you're coming here to assimilate to our culture. Alex, thanks so much.